Eric Gabrielson just right now in the comments, let's go. And this is going to be something that we do every single week. And it's going to be doing breaking down film on prospects. We're going to be really kind of going with a game day, college game day type of mindset in a sense, but we'll be doing a lot of X's and O's. We'll be doing a lot of prospect talk. And it'll be Saturday mornings for the most part. Again, a lot of it's going to be based off of my son's schedule with football. And then obviously if DP's got anything going on, we will adjust. But I think right now, we'll be shooting for 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, somewhere like that, on a weekly basis. So you will get this every single weekend. If it's not a Saturday, it will be a Sunday. We'll preview, rookies in the current season that we're in right now, for like week 1, week 2, or whatever it might be, or it could be prospects. Again, there's going to be all kinds of stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have players probably joining us at some point for interviews. And again, it's going to be a bunch of fun. So you're late. Yeah, we started a little bit late, like 1 minute. So give us a break, making sure all the audio is good. So I say we just jump into this. Today's going to be about the preseason and some of the rookies that have been really catching our eye over the last 2 weeks. And again, like I said, next week we'll be jumping into prospects and all of that. So let's jump right into the preseason stuff that's been catching our eyes. I mean, there's been a lot of good games, a lot of rookies that have really been popping and showing out. I'll start with you. I mean, who's kind of the top guy for you that's really been impressive?
I mean, there are quite a few rookies that really have shown out, but for me right now, I got to stick with my running backs. I love the position. Over in New England, Radre Stevenson, through 2 games, 25 carries, 193 rush yards. I think he's leading the preseason in terms of rushing, 96.5 yards per game, and over almost 8 yards per pop. And for a guy that is around, when he was in Oklahoma, I believe he played around 240. Then around the Senior Bowl, he dropped down, I think, to 225, somewhere in there. So he cut weight. But to see him, the first preseason game, he took it, to ice the game, a 91-yard touchdown. He has 4 touchdowns as well. I loved everything I've seen from him. Light feet. He's a powerful, compact back. So a lot of people compared him to LeGarrette Blount. For me, when I finally watched him on tape, he reminded me so much of Eddie Lacy. To be that big, to be that burly, that strong, that compact. He had the foot quickness, the ability to set guys up in space, to jump cut, to elude. Because, most backs that size, they're just going to run you over. They're not going to give you too much in open space, but he gives you a lot of that. And he can catch the ball in the backfield a little bit as well. So he's been impressive to me. Granted, for all my fantasy guys, I don't believe that he's going to have a huge impact in the rookie year because they do have Damian Williams. They still have Sony Michel and James White. He'll get into the rotation, but I think going forward, he could be, because at the end of the day, Bill Belichick's a little frugal when it comes down to paying people. So I can see Damian Harris getting paid somewhere else when his time is done, and Radre Stevenson step into that role. But I love everything I've seen from him. Good vision, good patience. I actually tweeted out, it was a clip. One of his it was a toss, weak side toss. He followed both lead blockers. He allowed them to make contact and initiate their blocks. He set up the defender in open field, squared him up, gave him a nice move, broke his ankles, a couple jump cuts consecutive. For a guy that size, it is very surprising to see, but I love to see it. So Radre Stevenson is probably one of my favorite rookies right now, how he's playing in preseason.
Well, in that offense in general with the Patriots, I mean, you've got Mac Jones in there, and I thought he looked pretty good. In that extended work. I mean, he probably, of all the rookies in that first game, got maybe the most amount of snaps as far as, at least like statistically. He ended up, like 23 of 32 or 35 or something like that.
He's been efficient, really efficient.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and like the way he was playing, it was like there was a lot of stuff underneath, of course, but he was moving in the pocket really well. And I think having a running back like Stevenson back there, you have to honor a player like that so you can run those play action passes and things like that. So if Stevenson can stay healthy, whereas Sony Michel maybe hasn't been so much, and you throw in obviously Damian Harris into the mix, and hopefully my guy JJ Taylor gets a role somewhere as a pass catcher, that backfield's not that bad in New England. So it could help a player like Cam, who I think we all love, or it could help a rookie like Mac, who I think we are expecting to be maybe the most pro-ready quarterback in this year's draft,
Yeah.
but the guy that, you root for just because mechanically it really is all there for him. He might not be, the best arm strength type of quarterback or anything like that, or the most mobile, but at the same time, he did make some impressive plays. So
Yes.
for me, Jarrett Patterson is my top rookie. It's my guy. I mean, I thought he was really underrated in the draft process. I don't know if there was anybody higher than me. I mean, he was my 70th ranked player. And again, out of 125, you can say what it is, but he was my 5th ranked running back. And I was so surprised that he just didn't get any run during the draft. Like, nobody talked about him. And to watch him out of Buffalo, and I don't know, like, did he not get the run because, and the pub, because the players that have come out of there in recent years, Tyree Jackson was a good college player, but moving to tight end now. Then you get Anthony Johnson, who came in and just really fell off the map. I don't even know what team he's on anymore.
Yeah,
and then you look at it now, you got Jarrett Patterson, and it's like, okay, maybe he's just had too much work in the college career of his, and maybe people were scared of that. Kind of like Jonathan Taylor. People were like, oh, you can't have a running back like that. He's got too big of a workload. And the same with Patterson. But, I mean, he just had that natural feel in zone scheme where it's like, this guy, he knows exactly where to cut. He knows exactly what to read. He knows when he needs to go outside, cut back inside. And he's showing that with Washington. I mean, just through 2 games so far, 33 touches, 166 yards, and a score. He's returning kicks and punts. So there's some special teams value there. And I don't know if he's going to be the true number 1 back in that offense, because you do have Antonio Gibson. But I think it's a nice complementary piece. Is he going to be a true pass catcher? No, probably not. He didn't catch a ton of passes coming out of Buffalo, but he is, again, one of those guys that I think you can develop. And I like seeing it in Washington, an undrafted rookie, and coming in and already having that type of impact, whether it's against a first-team defense or practice squad guys. That's impressive.
Absolutely. And we've talked about Jarrett Patterson just one-on-one. And I was a fan of him as well. I think a lot of it, when we still see it, those biases, the size bias. He wasn't the biggest guy, not the tallest, or when it comes down to width in his frame, but he's just a good football player, and he gives you versatility as a runner and a receiver out of the backfield. He's shifty, low center of gravity. He runs hard. He plays tough. Like, that's the type of back you want on your team. He may not be your RB1 that leads the, don't get me wrong. If I'm not mistaken, I don't have the measurements in front of me, but he doesn't, from the eye test, he doesn't look too much smaller than the Austin Eckler. So it's like Austin Eckler's the lead back for the Chargers. So why couldn't Jarrett Patterson, So it's like those size biases, I think, do play a part with scouts and teams, because it's like, hey, he's a smaller guy. Like, don't get me wrong, it's cool. I get it. I've seen some big backs come in the league and suck it up too. So it's just the simple fact of the matter is, that's why I always tell people, I don't really care too much about measurables. For me, it's more so the traits. What do you do well? What can I coach you? What can I coach you on? And I go from there when I'm scouting players and evaluating talent. But Jarrett Patterson was one of my favorite running backs. I had a feeling he would drop, and he would, like I said, just because of the size concerns, because we know how teams can be kind of skeptical. Can he hold up? Will he stay healthy? And it's like, well, that I understand the concern, but then you look at some of these bigger, stronger backs who want to run through a brick wall. Those are the guys with the injuries, So it's like, those are the ones who can't stay healthy because they're constantly trying to bulldoze and create their own path. So I'm with you wholeheartedly on our guy Jarrett Patterson, man.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens with him. Obviously, there's a lot that happens between now and the year, but for him just to not get drafted is mind-boggling to me. I mean, whatever the reason is, I mean, you could have took that guy in the 7th round somewhere, and who knows? But it's a good find for Washington. I know you got a nice list of players here. What's the next guy on that list?
I'm going to go down to Carolina, man. Terrace Marshall. Right now, it's through 2 games, 6 receptions, 138 yards receiving, almost 70 yards a game, averaging 23 yards a catch with his longest reception was 60 yards. And we saw that so far through the preseason, I think we've seen almost his full kind of what he was able to do in college. They Yak Monster. I think it was a play. I think it was the first game. PJ Walker kind of evaded the rush, threw it on the dime to him, and he was able to get a lot of yards after the catch. And he showcased his ability to get downfield. Then yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, they lined him up out wide to the right. He was at the Z spot, ran the fade, ran a go route, and showed that ability to separate on the outside and threaten vertically. The first game he got, a lot of people were like, man, he got caught. They walked him down. He didn't look like – it seemed like he ran out of gas. And don't get me wrong. Like, for me, and I tell everybody, like, those pro day 40 times I care nothing about, because I don't trust them. Like, I'm sorry. During the draft process, the pro day circuit was wild. Like, this guy ran a 4.3, that guy ran a 4.4. I was like, okay. Like,
we ran 4.3s by sitting on the couch. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's like everybody was 4.3.
The numbers were everywhere.
Yeah. I'm like, everybody's 4.3. Like, man, the speed training these days is incredible. Like, it was just wild to me. But his play speed, it's good. I like his play speed.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to Panthers training camp, actually saw him up close and personal. He's a big dude, big boy. Like, he's nice, rocked up, strapped up kid, and he can go. And he got strong hands. He's a good route runner, good hip fluidity as well for a guy his size. So seeing how they've kind of worked with him as almost a wide receiver one at times during this preseason, him getting a lot of those reps and those catches and being able to showcase his ability, I'm absolutely loving it, because at the end of the day, you have DJ Moore, who's the unquestioned number one receiver in Carolina. Robbie Anderson's that deep threat, that speed threat that Sam Darnold actually has chemistry with from when he was with the Jets. Then you have Omar Bayless and a couple other guys, but I truly believe Terrace Marshall is going to be that third receiver that you can kind of move around, because truly you can throw either DJ Moore or Robbie Anderson into the slot and allow Marshall to play the X or the Z. I'm really excited for him. He's really played well this preseason so far.
No, he has. And I'm so surprised that he stuck around until the second round of the draft. I mean, just so mind-boggling to me. I mean, I get it. It was a deep wide receiver draft, but as late as he did, it's not like he was like that first pick of the second round, but I feel like he could have been a late first somewhere. And there was enough wide receiver needy teams that could have taken him. And all the signs pointed to him going in the first round, and then he just fell out. And I think it was because of the broken leg or whatever it was. It was a broken leg, right, that flared up on his medical check back from high school, where everybody's like, wait a minute, this guy's not right. He's not going to run well, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that offense is going to be a lot better than people think. I think Carolina is going to be a lot better than people think. I think New Orleans could definitely regress. We'll see what happens, obviously, with Atlanta. Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay, but Carolina could surprise some people. And, I mean, just watching some of their game from last week. Christensen played really well on the right side. That was a guy that we've talked about already once on this podcast before, and obviously we'll continue to talk about him. But I just think overall that offense is going to be a lot better. I love that defense with some of the playmakers that they have. And I'm going to stay defensively, since I've kind of pivoted to a defensive mindset here, going defensively. Joe Tryon from Tampa Bay right now. I mean, this dude has been playing remarkable. It seems like every single week he's coming up with a big play, a big sack, a big pressure. I mean, he lit up Cincinnati. That hit went viral last week, and this week, he did kind of the same thing. And he's just constantly making these plays where people are like, man, this dude is the best edge rusher in the draft right now. I mean, like, the way it's looking, he's been playing that well, that consistent. He's got that really good bend, really good flexibility that we love to see. He's fluid within his lower body. He's got great length. And again, explosiveness is what really stands out to me, is just how explosive he is off the snap. And the way he can dip that shoulder consistently is impressive. I mean, he essentially becomes unblockable at that point, because, every offensive lineman wants to definitely key on the shoulders or on the chest plate of a defensive end or of a defensive lineman. And he's just able to drop that shoulder and get there. And I love seeing it. I think they've got a real gem here. And you bring in, obviously, Shaq Barrett. You've got JPP. You've got now Tryon. I think that's a really good trio of edge rushers, and he gets to learn from two very good veteran pass rushers in the NFL. So he's had a really good preseason so far. Wouldn't surprise me if he hit double-digit sack numbers this season.
Absolutely, and I was high on him coming into the draft. One thing about that situation, and I tweeted that he fell into the perfect situation with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I look at it from the aspect of, because to me, every team needs one, a DPR, designated pass rusher, someone that comes off the bench on those third and longs, even those second and long plays where the rest of your guys have been playing the first and second down, playing against the run. Now you've held up, you forced the offense to kind of have to play from behind the sticks. And now you're in a situation where, okay, you bring that, that offensive tackle is like, okay, I got a guy with fresh legs coming onto the field. Mm-hmm. And not only fresh legs, but he's explosive, he's quick, he's got a bend, he's got a rip, he's got long arms as well. He knows how to use his leverage. And those are the things you look for in the pass rusher. So you bring him off the bench on the field on third and longs. I always talk about it. What the San Francisco 49ers did when they drafted Aldon Smith way back was the perfect way to use a young edge rusher. Keep him healthy for one. He doesn't have to play against the run because that complicates things for young rushers who may not be skilled enough to set a hard edge and know how to play with leverage against the run. But you bring them on those third downs, man, and start allowing them to just pin their ears back. We saw that. We saw that with Aldon Smith, and there's been other guys as well that you just use on those third downs early in their career as they develop as a edge defender against the run. And then again, you have Shaq Barrett. I think JPP is still there. You have Vita Vea and Dominican Sue. Like that D line is stacked with talent. Mm-hmm. So now, like I said, especially when you're playing the head, think back to those Peyton Manning led Colts teams, right? You're playing with a lead in the fourth quarter. You want to be able to go to that kind of, and even back to what the Giants did when they defeated Tom Brady and the Patriots. They went to that NASCAR, that wide nine, where you spread them out and you have those premier rushers where you can kick JPP inside, kind of like how they did with Usi Umenyiora and Justin Tuck. You can have Joe Tryon flanking him on the outside and really get after the quarterback, right? We saw what they did to Pat Mahomes and that kind of ravaged O-line in the Super Bowl. So I'm excited for Tryon for real, because the simple fact of the matter is he's talented and he's in a perfect situation, in my opinion. Yeah, he could have went somewhere where they say, okay, you're our edge one, you're starting every game, but keeping him fresh, allowing him to just come and be an explosive weapon off the edge. I love it. I love it a lot.
Well, and he wears the number 9, so he looks like a complete badass out there.
Exactly.
On everything that he does. I mean, it's sick. I some of the single digit numbers on some of these defensive players, I'm like, that's too much. But right. It looks sick. It looks sick on him. And you mentioned them possibly going out to wide nines, doing the NASCAR and all that stuff. But so much attention throughout the year will be put on guys like Barrett and try the slide.
Oh, looks like we're having connection issues, Russ. Yeah, look like I might have lost. So looks like Russ is having some connection issues, guys. So I'm gonna keep it going for you while I wait for him to come back in. So my next guy that I wanted to talk about was going to be for the Chicago Bears receiver, Rodney Adams. Through 2 games, 7 receptions, 146 yards. He's actually leading in receiving right now through 2 games. Of course, I think the Browns, and there's 2 games again today. And Yeah, one at 1 o'clock, one at 7:30 on NFL Network. So, of course, things could change in terms of who's leading and receiving. But right now is Rodney Adams from the Chicago Bears. Like I said, 7 receptions, 146 receiving yards, 73 yards per game. 20.9, so 21 yards per catch. He has a 73 yard, which he caught yesterday for a touchdown from Andy Dalton. And the thing I like about it is the fact that he's been able to pretty much play well with both quarterbacks. Like that, he's played reps with Dalton. He's played more reps, I think, with Justin Fields from the first preseason game. But what I love about him, what I've seen from him, the ability to threaten deep and go downfield on the outside. He has a good sense and feel for spatial awareness. The catch that he made, the contested catch week 1 of preseason, Rodney Adams was able to go up over the cornerback. Justin Fields just gave him an opportunity. It wasn't the picture perfect pass, but that's the saying. Give your receiver, give your weapon an opportunity, and he did that. Rodney Adams was able to go up, get the ball. Even yesterday, it's one thing to play through contact through the stem of the route. It's another thing to play through contact in the air while you're going up for the ball, and he does that too. So he has good body control. He has the physicality and the contact balance to come down with the pass and stay on his feet. That's what he did yesterday on that 73-yard touchdown catch and run from Dalton. So he's got good hand-eye coordination. I would like to see him separate a little bit better to where everything isn't so contested. But at the same time, this is what preseason is for. This is what we missed last year, guys. We missed the ability to see guys that we didn't know too much about prior to preseason come out, showcase their ability, make a name for themselves, make a case that, hey, I deserve a spot on this roster. They traded away Anthony Miller to the Texans. That's going to open up snaps behind, of course, Robinson's wide receiver 1 for them. Darnell Moody's wide receiver 2 for them. Then after that, you got Daz Newsome. You have Riley Ridley. And you have this young kid as well, and I think Javon Wims. So that wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 competition is being battled right now to me in practice and preseason. And Rodney Adams has showed out. He's shown that he can play in this league, and I would be surprised if they did cut him because like I said, right now he's a preseason leader in receptions and yards.
It's crazy, man, how this happens every preseason. You just get like this diamond in the rough that comes out of nowhere, leads things in categories like you said. And I missed part of what you were saying as I was fixing my internet that was unstable there, as it constantly keeps going in and out for me. For whatever reason, my internet keeps trying to search for another network, and it's been something that is constantly. So
and that's not trying to be too friendly with us right now. Morning, Brett. Shout out to Heart to Start Fantasy Sports. Shout out to everybody that's in. Scotty says Russell's internet has AIDS today. Oh, yeah. It's his there's something going on, Scott. Like his internet is really not trying to cooperate with us. But as we continue, I'm gonna roll through it, guys. You know what I mean? I'm gonna keep it going. Back in usually works. Yeah, he'll be back in a second. I'm gonna go ahead and jump to another guy that has really impressed me, and most of it I think was yesterday. The stats weren't the greatest or anything, but just what I believe he's going to be in this offense. I'm looking at Pat Freiermuth, guys, over there for the Pittsburgh Steelers at tight end. I was hyped when they drafted him because they needed a tight end. Yes, of course, they have Eric Ebron. We know that Eric Ebron struggles with drops, struggles with playing with physicality in his routes, and being able to out-muscle defenders as well. So we kind of know how that works with him. We know what we're getting. He's athletic. We know that. But he just hasn't ever found that consistency. But yesterday, Pat Freiermuth, 3 targets, 2 catches. I believe both of them were touchdowns. They were in the red zone too. So that big frame of his, that catch radius, Big Ben is going to enjoy that in the red zone. You know what I mean? Because you think you think about having Najee Harris and McFarland, those guys, they're going to run the ball. They're going to throw the ball to their backs. They're going to get the ball to Deontay Johnson and those plethora of receivers. We'll wait and see what happens with James Washington because I think he has requested a trade out of Pittsburgh. So we'll see if anybody makes a move. There are a couple teams that do need receivers. I'm not the highest on James per se as a true receiver, especially as a number one. He's not a number one option, but he's a solid number two, number three option in the right offense. Strong cat, gives you some yak ability as well with his ability to catch and run. But what I see from Pat Freiermuth, he knows how to get open. We know if you watch this tape and watch him at Penn State, he didn't have the most consistent quarterback play. So that really hurt him in the way. When you look at Kyle Pitts was putting on a show, but he had Kyle Trask on in the football, who was an accurate college quarterback. You give Pat Freiermuth a better quarterback, his numbers are much better in that offense. And especially after they lost KJ Hamler and stuff like that. I really felt like his year should have been better with better quarterback play. But, he gives you that size. He gives you the quickness and athleticism in the route running department and great hands. Strong kid, man. In the red zone, I think he's going to make his bread in the red zone for Big Ben because his teams start to load up to try and stop the run. That play action pass, they're going to key in on big 6'2", 6'3", 230 Najee Harris in the red zone, and inside the five. They're going to key on that. They're going to bring those linebackers in nice and tight, shoot those gaps, and try to stuff the run. And when they do that, Big Ben's going to play action it. He's going to find Pat Freiermuth one-on-one with a safety, and he's going to feed it to him. So he's somebody that was one of my other rookies that I'm excited to see, and I really think he's played well when given the opportunities to catch the ball.
I agree. I mean, I wasn't his biggest fan coming out. I felt like he had kind of fallen off a little bit with Freiermuth, but at the same time, and I think it was more so the expectation was put of him to be like Rob Gronkowski 2.0, and I'm like, that's a little unrealistic. Like Gronk's one of a kind, but come in and you're right. There's this, and Freiermuth's going to be wide open up the seam. We're going to see Ben Roethlisberger looking like Tua throwing up the seam yesterday, and it's going to be impressive. But I'm in and out on this conversation of preseason rookies now because my internet's gone out about 3 times on me, and it's just messing with my whole flow. But I'm going to be a homer for my next guy, and that's going to be Derrick Barnes out of Purdue, who has just been showing out for the Lions defensively. And I mean, he was a late pick. He was a 5th round pick for Detroit, and just one of those players that has come out and every single game has come out and made a play. And he had a tackle for loss, 6 tackles, a sack, and a quarterback hit, as well as 2 pass breakups. One of them he should have intercepted. So he has played really well. And despite the Lions probably not going to win a lot of football games, he's going to be hopefully a bright spot for a group of linebackers. Really, that
I think we may have lost Russ again, guys, but it's all good because we're going to keep rolling, man. We're going to keep rolling with this. I want to shout out, for my last and final guy for rookie report for preseason. I want to go down to the Jets, man. I would have liked to go into the Jets for a different reason, which is my guy Elijah Moore. If you follow me on Twitter, I absolutely love Elijah Moore. But he's been hurt. I talked to sat down and interviewed one of my guys, DJ from the New York Daily Sports over in New York. He's a beat writer for the team. He said that right now the belief is that Elijah Moore will be back, I believe, for week 1. They said he possibly could play this week coming, but with a hamstring or those soft tissue injuries, you want to kind of be you want to be cautious. You don't want that to linger on throughout the season. But like I said, going down to New York, and I love what I've seen from Justin Fields. Mac Jones. We get to see Trey Lance in his second action tonight. Hopefully, we get to see more of Trey Lance, for the 49ers. But I absolutely love what I'm seeing from Zack Wilson. Completing up at least 75% of his passes. He hasn't thrown for 200 yards, but what they've done is they allowed him to basically showcase his ability, and then they pulled him. So the first week, last week, he was accurate, precise, decisive with the ball. Kind of went to his first read, find the guy that was open, delivered it. You saw the arm talent on the out route that he threw to Corey Davis on the left sideline last week. And then, of course, the rope that he threw yesterday against the Packers on the move. Gave him a pump fake, which I tweeted the video out when I was watching it live. Gave a pump fake in the middle of the field, rolled back to his right from the left hash on the move, just delivered a strike. I believe it was to Corey Davis, who ran like a slot wheel or wheel out the slot down the right sideline. And it just showcased his accuracy, his ability to throw on the run and on the move. And when think about it, and it's crazy, it's not just Mac Jones, it's not just Justin Fields, Zack Wilson. These I know, Tony. It sucks, man. But it's like it's crazy because for me, these quarterbacks, and I don't think I ever remember. I can't recall another quarterback class in the recent memory like this, but they literally are coming in so poised. Mac Jones is poised. Justin Fields is poised. Fields took some shots for the quote that was taken out of his press conference after the game last week. But if you listen to the whole thing, he just says that he wasn't being disrespectful to the league, the speed of the game. He was just saying, like, it's slow for me, and it's a testament to the coaching, testament to the team, everything, the game plan, the scheme, whatever. But what I love about watching Zack Wilson, he is totally under control. He's not rushing anything. He's not, even with pressure, he's moving well in the pocket, navigating himself through the pocket, and just getting in and out of his off his lanes, moving the launch point for himself, and finding that open passing lane. Like I said, that throw from on the move to the right sideline to Corey Davis probably was one of the better throws that we've seen this preseason. And the thing about it is he has more of that. We know what we saw in this pro day that rolling to his left, throw it back to the right, kind of wild throw that people started, and it's cool. Those are cool. I like the throw. I'd rather see the throw he made yesterday. That's in game. That's with defenders. That's actually with someone chasing you, and that shows the accuracy that he has as well. Don't get me wrong. Trey Lance to me has the best arm in this class. Like just watching the pure arm strength, it's Trey Lance to me. But Drew, Wilson's calm, cool, and collected, and that's what I love to see from these young quarterbacks. Man, don't come in. It's like they're literally they're treading water. They're not just treading water. They're swimming right now. They're not just treading it. They're swimming. They feel comfortable. And like I said, I can't wait to watch Trey Lance tonight because I want to see how he rebounds. Because he, out of all of the quarterbacks, the rest of the quarterbacks that were drafted with him all played a full season for the most part last year. He had that one showcase game. So I'm looking to see what we will be seeing from him tonight. But I'm excited to see the rest of these young quarterbacks. Zack Wilson is definitely, to me, I think he played like just from a three-level thrower. Him and Justin Fields played the best. Shout out to Mac Jones. He's been efficient. He's gotten the ball out quick. He's had two deep passes that weren't caught. Don't get me wrong. But from an arm talent standpoint, he's the last one in this class out of the top five. But these quarterbacks are coming in poised, Russ.
Yeah, well, I've missed basically the whole show messing with the internet. So I'm talking, it cuts out. So maybe I'm not meant to do the show. I don't know what's going on. It's like every 30 seconds it starts looking for a new network. So I have no idea. But it's funny, man. Zack Wilson, first week of training camp, struggled a little bit, and everybody was just kind of, oh man, they shouldn't have drafted him. Maybe they made a mistake. And here he is balling out in preseason games, and he's looking the part. The guy's a gamer, and that's how he was at BYU. So I think I'm with you. Zack Wilson, Justin Fields, by far for me, have been the two best rookies that I've watched. I think Justin Fields is going to be impressive every single time he continues to step on the field for the Chicago Bears. And I know some people will be like, okay, relax. He's playing second and third teamers, but I don't care. He's making the right decisions. He's making teams honor with his speed, and I think ultimately it's going to continue to grow from there for the Bears and their offense. So hopefully Nagy and Pace make the right decision and make him their starter down the road. But with Zack Wilson, I mean, he just got to win football games. If he can win football games for the Jets, it'll be a completely different story for him and that organization. So I think they got the right thing going. Obviously, Elijah Moore has to be healthy. He's got to be out there for it to continue to work, because you need a weapon like that. So I'm with you there. And ultimately, I'm with you on all the players that you discussed today. And you did a great job holding it down. I know we've had a couple of comments in here, so we'll get to those, and we'll get to a couple of questions. So if anybody out there's got questions or anything like that, feel free to drop them in the comments, and we'll put them up on the screen. But shout out to Gary here, go Bills, which I think we can both agree. Greg Russo's been pretty impressive for the Buffalo Bills. That length is something else, and obviously we're seeing the versatility as well. I mean, he's doing a tremendous job playing with leverage, getting his body in the right position to make plays every time, whether it's rushing to the outside and getting back inside. I think he's been impressive as a first-round pick.
I do too. And the thing about it is, and correct me if I'm wrong, when I saw him, like we go back to 2019 when he played, that last full season he played at Miami, he was a little more on the slender side. He was a little bit more on the slender side, kind of, linear build. Seeing him now, it legitimately looks like he's put a lot of work in getting stronger. Since he played in 2019, he's a little more rocked up, a little bigger in his frame. And the thing about it, what that does for him is the simple fact of the matter is he knows how to use that. Like you said, he plays with leverage. He knows how to use it, that length in his long levers and his arms. But what I love is now he can convert not just speed rushing and rushing with quickness. When he gives that stab, that long arm stab, it comes with a punch. He packs a punch with it now. We saw, the first game against Penny Sewell. Penny Sewell, had a hard time handling it with his hands, and he opened his chest up. Yeah, he opens up his chest, and Rousseau, if I'm not mistaken, I think Greg calls him Groot, if I'm not mistaken. But I've seen that on Twitter. But yeah, so it's like you see that transition from speed to power, converting that. And then AJ Epinessa, Bills fans, be excited for him. He at Iowa in the Big Ten, he was a man amongst boys, in my opinion. Strong, physical, just tossing guys, shedding guys with ease. He had to adjust to the NFL, as most rookies do. So now it's like, from a technique standpoint, he seems to be, and he wasn't he wasn't a great edge rusher in college. He was more so of that 3 technique, kick him inside the head of the guard, inside, shaded inside, and let him attack from the interior. But watching, I think it was Anthony who tweeted out the wild caption when he threw the Bears left tackle. He just completely bull rushed him and tossed him to the ground. And you see that power, that the fact that he was able to, by the third step, he completely dropped his head, used both hands, drove, extended, got rid of, pretty displaced, and got rid of the tackle, and then made the sack. I want to shout out as well, Russ, you talked about it earlier with Tua, with that throw up the seam to Mike Gesicki. I'm really excited for Tua. I am so excited for Tua this year, man. And I'm gonna tell you why. Coming out of college, I called him the sprinkler. I told you that weeks back when we did the podcast. Like, his hips, like it's literally like a sprinkler. It's tick, tick, tick. That's how he goes through his reads. Tick, 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 and he gets the ball out. And it's the same thing. Wash, rinse, repeat. He's able to just move. Last year, we didn't see that too much because, again, he was coming off the hip injury and the surgery. Yeah. I don't believe he trusted his hip the way he does now. So now you see him, and I was watching the game yesterday, against Atlanta, and he was doing that. He was back to doing that again. He looks comfortable. He looks in rhythm. And not only that, but the pocket navigation was something we did not see a lot of last year from him, being able to sense that the edge is crashing. He's able to shuffle. Now the opposite edge is crashing. Now I'm going to step up. I'm going to make a throw. And he's keeping his eyes downfield. He's not panicking. He's not flustered as well. And then his accuracy is there. He's got that quick processor. anytime I'm looking at quarterbacks, that's something kind of like a computer. When I'm looking for a new laptop, I need you to have a quick processor, a good processor. Can you process information quickly and get from task to task? And that's what Tua's been able to do, getting the ball out to his weapons. That's why for fantasy alert, I think Myles Gaskins would be a really good fantasy option out of the running backs because of the fact, and as well as a handcuff for Ahmed, because they're able to run those routes in space, and Tua has no problem checking down. I always talk about it, Russ. I label it as I call it the boring play. People used to criticize Tom Brady for checking down, different things like that. But can you take what the defense gives you? Like, I don't care how great you are as a talent. If you're going to throw it into double coverage just because you want to push the ball downfield, you're hurting my team more than you're helping. So can you take the boring play? Can you look the high first? Because the high-low read, as a coach, the high. If you have a high-low read, that's the first read. You look high first. You want to say, okay, I got one-on-one on the outside. I do see that single safety in the middle. Let me see what's going on. Okay, he's shaded too far over. Cool, I'm gonna come back down to my low. And if the high is there, you take the high, right? So Tua's been able to do that. He looks high. He looks to see if one of his receivers that's on the post or go route is open. Okay, nope. I'm going to give it down to my tight end. I'm going to give it to Jalen Waddle underneath for Jakeem Grant on the drive route, and I'm going to have fun with it and allow these guys to make plays for me.
Yeah, well, and with Tua as well, you mentioned his hip, right? Being more comfortable with his hip, and as we talked with Justin Fields earlier, in the week or earlier in the show too, I mean, we say teams have to honor his speed. Teams have to honor what he can do with his feet. Teams are going to have to do the same thing with Tua, and that's why things are going to open up like we saw yesterday. The seam pass to Gesicki. You're going to see things with Jalen Waddle. Hopefully, I know he got rolled up on that one play. Hopefully he comes out, healthy on that side of it. I didn't see the diagnosis as far as his injury, but overall, that offense should flow much better if Tua is healthy. And as he gets, again, more comfortable within that offense. And you bring up a great point, taking what the defense gives you. I think there's too many quarterbacks that try to do way too much when they're playing in the position. And if you can get 4 to 6, maybe even 7 yards on an underneath throw, get that, because you should be able to run the ball after that 2 more times to get 3 or 4 yards and get the first down. And that should be the consistent thing of your offense. I mean, that's been the consistent thing within, you mentioned it, Tom Brady's career, right? So while we hate it, it works every single time, it seems like, for that guy when they need it to work. So there's definitely times when you open up the playbook, you throw it deep, and if things don't work out, you get it. But you just, I don't know. I'm with you, though. I think Tua is really going to take a step forward. I know for Bills fans that are probably listening to this, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, etc., they're probably like, come on, don't say that. Like, we believe in the Bills. The Dolphins aren't any good. I'm with you. I don't know if they're good all the way around, but they do have talent defensively from their secondary. They've got some talent up front. They've got the playmakers. And, again, they've got the quarterback if he can stay healthy. So we'll see what happens. But the preseason, I think there's a couple of games starting in about 15, 20 minutes. There's a couple more games, I think, tonight. And then final it's only through
Oh, I think it happened again, guys. I think it happened again. So I mean, it's been a rough day for the internet for my guy Russ. It's been a rough day for him, but it's been yeah, Tony. I feel the same way. We definitely got to get this. He's definitely got to get this taken care of, which I know he will. Because, like you said, this is our typically we're going to try and do more so on Saturdays. My schedule, I'll let you guys know. My schedule is typically free. The wife knows what's going on with me now working with Cover One, so I will be here. It's just truly going to depend on, of course, Russ and his son's sports schedule. But if everything checks out, Saturday mornings, guys. Starting next week, we're going to look at the prospects. I got to look at the I plan on going over the not the roster, but the schedule. It's all good, brother. It's all good.
Yeah,
I know. I've been there, bro. I promise you. I've been there, man. But now, we're going to look over the schedule. I know that I plan on doing that this afternoon after the Browns and Giants play in about 14 minutes. I'm going to go over the schedule for next week one of the actual collegiate season for Saturday. We go ahead and look at those prospects, get my list and my notes ready for Saturday. I think, like you said, Saturday morning, 10 or 11, as long as everything checks out. So, please, guys, listen. Tap in with us. We're going to be here all college season. We're going to let you guys know. And one thing about me, for those who are new to DP underscore NFL, Damian Parson, I'm really big on not just the big names, not just Kayvon Thibodeau, which we'll talk about in a couple of weeks when he goes up against Ohio State. I'm not just talking about those big name guys. I'm talking about guys that can make your roster better in the later rounds and help your team get to the championship. I'm all about the unknowns. So it's a couple guys I already have. I'm already just kind of making notes on. Definitely check out. Stay tuned to Cover One because I have a scouting piece coming out for Purdue defensive end George Karlaftis, I believe it is. The
Greek god.
Yes, and I have I'm not going to tweet it out yet, so you're going to have to read the article. I have a very interesting player comp or players comp, so I like to give little tidbits so that you can be excited to check it out. But listen, we have a lot of draft coverage coming, not just audio, but of course written reports and mock drafts, everything coming up in these next couple months. So stay tuned with us, guys.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Like we said, next Saturday will be the real official start. We wanted to just get this going with some preseason fun and everything, but the real official start to college football and our march to the 2022 NFL draft starts next Saturday. I mean, one of the games is Illinois and Nebraska. So we can talk about Scott Frost being a cheater and not really being a national champion, despite him claiming that he is, and all that fun stuff. But, I appreciate everybody joining us. You can find us on Twitter at Russ NFL Draft, at DP_NFL. And I didn't even get a chance to really post it in this thing because everything's been messed up. But be sure to go to Underdog Fantasy and use the promo code Cover1. You get a free $25. So if you're a fantasy football person, go to UnderdogFantasy.com. You can find them on Twitter at Underdog Fantasy. It's the most innovative platform for all of really fantasy sports. It's not just football, but again, fantasy football. Drafts are happening every single day. So if you're a new user, use the promo code Cover1, get a free $25. So for DP, for myself, this has been Cover One, the NFL Draft Podcast. We'll be back next Saturday live here on YouTube. You can get the audio version of this over on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, really wherever you go about your stuff. So until next week, we're out.